Hey everyone, so today I'm going to be looking at all of my reading goals, resolutions and statistics and doing a little mid-year check-in on how my reading is doing. I have this very beautiful notebook. It's like kind of a dusty pink with like these gold shiny bits on it. I don't know if you can really see that on camera, but it's by Sostrine Green, who are like a Danish company, I think. Anyway, I've recorded all of my reading statistics in here. I wasn't really keeping track of my reading as the year went on, so I put together all of these statistics in the last couple days. I've been going through my Goodreads challenge and taking down all the details that I was interested in. So let's kick off with that. So far this year I have read 48 books. I'm filming this a little bit before the end of June, but at this point of the year 48 books is bang on my Goodreads target. I had a bit of catching up to do. I didn't have great reading months in March and April, but I've managed to catch up. My Goodreads goal is set at 100 books for the year, and I think that's quite manageable. I have read 12,279 pages, and two of my specific goals for the year were to read at least one poetry collection and one non-fiction book a month. I didn't read a poetry book in March or April, and I didn't read a non-fiction book in February, but I have read as many of those kinds of books as there have been months in the year, if not more, so I have compensated. As for page numbers, I have read 6 books that are under 100 pages, 9 books that are between 100 and 199, 8 books between 200 and 299, 19 books between 300 and 399, 5 books between 400 and 499, and 1 book that was over 500 pages. I would say that page number is probably pretty indicative of the kind of sizes of books that I enjoy. I would say the 300 to 400 mark is definitely my ideal book size. The format of books I have been reading in is 25 digital books, be that ebooks, e-arcs, audiobooks, so I'm reading slightly more digitally than I am physically. Where I'm getting them from: I have read 19 books so far this year that were e-arcs sent to me on NetGalley. One of my goals was to catch up on my e-arcs, and while I am reading a lot of them, I am still getting more than I am reading, so I would really like to rectify that. 2 books that were ebooks that I bought. This isn't really high enough for me to be satisfied with because of the amount of ebooks that I do buy. Because of this, I have decided to put myself on an ebook buying ban. There will be still a lot of ebook hauls because I've bought so many that there's quite a backlog of books that I need to haul. I think one of the reasons I'm not reading ebooks that I've bought, because when I feel like reading a book digitally, I feel like I need and should read one of the e-arcs that I've been sent. I've listened to 4 audiobooks, although there is some overlap between the audiobooks I have listened to and ebooks that I've bought. I have read 19 books that were physical books that I owned. I would like to do a lot more of that, and I'm hoping to do that over the summer. And 19 of the books I read were borrowed books. This includes physical books that I've borrowed from the library, and also ebooks that I've borrowed from the library, and books that I have borrowed from friends. 38 of the books I have read have been by female authors, 9 of the books I have read have been by male authors, and 1 book was written by both a man and a woman. Unfortunately, in the first half of the year, I have only read 12 books that are by authors of colour, and 36 books that are by white authors. I want to be more committed to reading diversely. And when I was putting together these statistics, I realised that at the start of the year I was reading a lot more BAME authors than I was white authors, but something went askew somewhere, so I would really like to make a conscious effort to raise the percentage of BAME authors that I am reading. I did think about looking at the sexualities of the authors that I was reading, but I decided not to do that because authors may not be out, they may not talk about their sexuality publicly. I do actively seek out books that have LGBT protagonists, however, especially bisexual characters. 27 of the books I read were novels, 6 of the books that I read were non-fiction, 8 of the books I read were poetry, 3 short story collections, and 4 graphic novels. I haven't read any plays yet this year, which is really frustrating me, especially since I do really want to read more Shakespeare for pleasure. 14 of the books that I read were published in 2017, 7 of the books in 2016, 4 in 2015, 13 between 2000 and 2014. I decided to split the 20th century into 2 sections, 1945 to 1999 and 1900 to 1944. The reason for this being that the classification for classics tends to be prior to 1945. So for books published between 45 and 1999, I read 7 books, and 1900 to 44 I read 3 books. I didn't read any books that have been published prior to that. I would really like to rectify that. I really enjoy reading classics, and I don't know why that hasn't really happened this year, especially since one of my goals is to read all of the works by Jane Austen. So I think in the next month I'm going to make a conscious effort to read more classics. 3 of the books that I have read this year have been rereads. Of the books that weren't rereads, there are 40 authors that are new to me, and 2 of those authors I read 2 books by. In January I read 8 books, in February I read 11 books, in March I read 5, April 4, May 8 and June 12. So this most recent month has been my most successful reading months in terms of quantity, and I would say that extends to quality as well. I got off to a really great start of the year reading wise, but as university got busier and busier, and my life got busier and busier, the quantity I was reading and also the quality of the reading and how much I was enjoying reading declined. But things are starting to pick up again, and I'm really happy about that. I think what I've learned from looking at my reading statistics is that I should be reading more diversely, and I really want to be reading more classics. I don't know how those 2 goals are going to work together, but we shall see. And I think I should be purchasing fewer ebooks. I have it so often where I will go into a secondhand bookshop or something and I will see a book that I really want, but I don't buy it because I've already got it on ebook. It seems very sensible, but I would much rather own a physical copy of a book, and that book may have been on my ebook shelf for 6 months untouched. If I just had a bit of patience, I could have had a physical copy of it for the same price. So I'm guessing just not be so trigger happy when it comes to ebooks. So they are all of my reading statistics. Have any patterns emerged with your reading? Are there any unexpected trends? Let me know down below. I'm really into people's reading journeys, seeing the progression of someone's reading history. Let me know any thoughts you have down below, and I will talk to you guys very soon.